Achlys is one of the most haunting and enigmatic figures in Greek mythology. She represents sorrow, despair, and the inevitability of death. Her name translates to mist or gloom, symbolizing the final veil between life and death, a moment where suffering and fate intertwine. Unlike the gods of the underworld, who rule over the dead, Achlys personifies the emotions surrounding death, the pain, the grief, and the lingering despair left in its wake. She is not just a figure of mortality but of misery itself, making her a compelling and deeply symbolic character in mythology. Some myths suggest that Achlys is a primordial being, meaning she existed before even chaos, the first entity in Greek mythology. This interpretation implies that suffering and sorrow are not merely human emotions but fundamental aspects of existence itself. In this sense, she is an eternal force, a reminder that pain and loss have always been and always will be part of life. Ancient descriptions portray Achlys as a gaunt and ghostly figure, with sunken eyes, a pale and exhausted face, and a body covered in dust, wounds, and grief. She is sometimes described as constantly weeping, her tears never ending, symbolizing the inescapable nature of sorrow. One of the most well-known references to Achlys appears in the Shield of Heracles, an ancient Greek text attributed to Hesiod. In this work, Achlys is depicted as part of the terrifying imagery on the Shield of Heracles, symbolizing the horrors of war and the suffering of mankind. She appears with blood-stained cheeks, her body in torment, representing the agony and destruction that war brings. This depiction reinforces her role as more than just a figure of death. She embodies all the pain, loss, and suffering that life can bring, making her a deeply human figure despite her divine or supernatural origins. But Achlys is more than just a representation of death or suffering. She also embodies fear, the deep existential dread that all living beings experience at some point. Some interpretations even connect her to nightmares and dark visions, seeing her as a force that brings dreams of despair or foreshadowing doom. In this sense, she is not only a goddess of sorrow but a reflection of the anxieties that plague human existence. She is the reminder that suffering is unavoidable, that hardship will come, and that grief is a part of life's natural cycle. However, despite her grim nature, Achlys also teaches a valuable lesson. She reminds us that pain and sorrow, while inevitable, are not permanent. The mist she represents may cloud our vision, making the world seem dark and hopeless, but mist eventually fades. Grief may feel overwhelming, but it does not last forever. Just as the world experiences night and day, sorrow and healing exist in balance. In this way, Achlys is not just a figure of despair. She is also a symbol of endurance. She represents the trials we all face and the ability to move forward despite them. In modern thought, Achlys can be seen as a symbol of resilience. Though she represents suffering, she also reminds us that grief is something to be acknowledged and processed, not ignored. The emotions she personifies, pain, loss, and sorrow, are deeply human experiences that connect us all. By facing these emotions instead of running from them, we find the strength to heal and grow. Ultimately, Achlys is more than just a goddess of gloom. She is a reflection of the hardships we endure, the grief we carry, and the fears we confront. But she is also a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always the possibility of renewal. She teaches us that suffering is part of the human experience, but it does not define us. It is only through acknowledging our pain that we can truly move beyond it, emerging stronger, wiser, and ready to step back into the light.